Hello everyone, this is Godzilla Wolf 1 and I'm back with another Minecraft mod showcase. And today's showcase will be on an update to the Kamen Rider Craft 2 mod, which is updating so quickly that I'm having trouble keeping up with it. In fact, it updated in the middle of my preparations for this showcase, so I had to modify the showcase. You're a fast mod creator! Now, as with the other updates, this update adds several new riders, several existing riders get new powers, and so on and so forth. Alright, let's start the showcase with Kamen Rider Hibiki, whose symbol was far more complicated than I expected it to be. I tried. Now, Hibiki is still a work in progress. His armor does not have any crafting recipes, and neither do his weapons, and in fact there's not even a blank version ore yet. And that's because I believe the mod creator said he's still trying to figure out what the ore is going to be, because Hibiki had several things that could count, like, you know, these tuning fork things, or his disc animals, or what have you. So it's still kind of a question what that's going to be. But for now, we've got the armor, and we are going to try it out. Now, I should note the mod creator has said that you're going to need the Henshin Onanso Onikaku, which I know I butchered. It's Japanese. I don't know how to say Japanese very well. But you're going to need this to get the potion effects, I believe so, like with the O scanner, because this is actually his true transformation device. The armor and belt are just, well, a belt. And the belt is called Onikiko Kansunamzumi. Sorry, Japan, I can't pronounce your words. But basically, in Hibiki, he did not have the traditional transformation belt. It was just a belt. But anyway, Henshin. And here we have Kamen Rider Hibiki, who has a very unique design for a Kamen Rider, and I really like it and how it turned out. And the reason he has a more unique design than a lot of them is, here's a secret, he's not originally a Kamen Rider. In fact, Hibiki actually started existence as a program as completely disconnected from the Kamen Rider franchise, but during production they actually converted it into a Kamen Rider series, which is why a lot of conventional rider tropes don't show up until later in the series, for good or bad, depending on your perception. But here he is. And very good capture of his design. The belt symbol is a lot better than my attempt. I tried. And overall, everything just looks really good. The little tuning fork thing that he uses to transform looks very nice in his hand, and I believe it's actually about the right size. Now, in the show, he would tap this against something and hold it up to his forehead, and that's how he would transform, which obviously does not work in Minecraft. Now, while there's no crafting recipe or anything just yet, you do have Hibiki's signature weapon, the Ongeki Borika, I believe is how you pronounce it. I cannot speak Japanese. Sorry, Japan. But they're essentially weaponized drumsticks slash clubs. Drumsticks is in the musical instrument, not as in the piece of chicken. Now I'm hungry. But regardless, it's in the mod, and if you've not seen Hibiki, essentially what he would do with this is he would slap this thing, the Ongeki Bo Kanzumi, sorry Japan, I can't pronounce your language, on the enemy, and then hammer away with the Ongeki Borikas to finish them off. And you can, if you have battle gear, dual wield these as he did in the show, which, you know, they store on your person if you're using battle gear now. But you can dual wield them just like he did in the show. There's no implementation of his finisher yet. The one thing that I think would be nice for the mod creator to add is perhaps when you do the whole shift to power them up thing, there's some sort of musical sound effect or something. That would be nice to have. The next part of Hibiki's arsenal is the Henshin Onsa Okaku Kurenai, which is his mid-season upgrade item, and Kurenai means crimson, and this allows Hibiki to turn into Hibiki Kurenai, which, if I remember correctly from the TV show, happened during the summer when both the monsters and Hibiki himself got the upgraded power to combat each other. So anyway, transform into Hibiki Kurenai, who looks pretty dang cool. This was his mid-season upgrade form. He still used these, and that doesn't look right. That definitely does not look right. I have 4 arms. Okay. That might be something the mod creator wants to look into. But anyway, that's Hibiki Kurenai. I do like this form. It looks really cool in both the show and in Minecraft, and overall works perfectly. I imagine you'll probably have fire resistance, or your weapons will gain a fire effect or something. That would be cool, because if I remember right, this form gave off an awful lot of heat. So that would be a nice feature. Alright, now the last weapon in Hibiki's arsenal is the Armed Saber, which is the weapon needed to unlock his super mode, Armed Hibiki. And to do that, you simply right-click while holding it, and you become Armed Hibiki, who in the show was a monster-slaying juggernaut. Like, this thing could slice a giant monster clean in half with one swipe. Okay, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but well, what are you gonna do? I believe it was also the only Oni rider in the series that had a weapon that was an actual weapon and not an instrument turned into a weapon, though it did have instrument features. I confused myself. Anyway, Armed Hibiki, the design looks really cool, I like it, and, well, that's all there is to it right now. It doesn't have any potion effects or anything. No potion effects. Alright, let's head in here and take a look at the next rider, Kamen Rider Ryuki, who was one of 2 riders to ever get an American adaptation in the form of Kamen Rider Dragon Knight, which, love it or hate it, it was still one of the few Kamen Rider adaptations we've actually gotten, so I thought that was worth noting. Anyway, once more like Hibiki, work in progress, no crafting recipes. It will probably be these blank contract cards when the crafting recipes are implemented, but for now you just have his suit, which let me put on here, and you also do have his drag saber, which once more, no crafting recipe, just a normal cool sword at the moment. And you also have the Drag Rider Advent card, which you're going to need to switch into this form. So anyway, Henshin, and now we're Kamen Rider Ryuki, not Hibiki, Ryuki, who is a pretty cool rider. I like his design overall, it just looked kind of cool, and I should note that he is asymmetrical. The drag visor is on his arm, as it should be, and nothing on the other arm. And I do like that the red eyes are still there, and they're a lot more noticeable than in the show, where they're kind of hard to notice unless you're looking for them. But anyway, like the design, it's definitely Ryuki. The drag saber looks nice in his hand, and that's really all there is to do with him. He has no potion effects yet. Now in this box we do have another form, which is the blank form, which is essentially what Kamen Rider Ryuki was like before he contracted Drag Rider, which you just access by right-clicking the contract card, and you become blank form, or I believe it was Kamen Rider Blank Knight in the American version, which basically is just him without any superpowers. He does have moderate super strength naturally, but really this form was kind of the growing form Kuga, only more useless. You also do have his Ride Saber, which, once more, was one of the most pitiful weapons in Kamen Rider history. It literally broke when he tried to hit something with it. So, yeah, while it's in the mod, I'm not sure if this is going to be worth using. It might be a joke character or something, but yeah, it's nice it's included. Not that most people would ever use it. Alright, now to look at the next part of the Ryuki section, we're going to have to step on through the mirror and look in this chest. Now, I know the mod creator has said he watches these videos and likes to get suggestions from them. One suggestion I'd have is either being able to pass through glass when you're Ryuki, or any of the Ryuki riders, or possibly even implement the mirror world into the game. I just feel that since we have Helheim in the mod, it might be nice to implement Ryuki's dimension in some sort, even if it's just being able to pass through glass, but like I said, just a suggestion. Alright, now the first thing we're going to look at from this part is the Ryuki Survive card. Now this is Ryuki and Dragon Knight's big super mode, depending on which one you want to call them, but you right click with this and you become Ryuki Survive, who looks really cool. I think that this is one of those suits that's kind of hard to get completely right because there's a lot of 3D details in the suit, but they did a good job, and I like how it looks. No special effects or anything. He does have his own weapon in the show, which is the drag visor Zowie. That has not yet been implemented, but at the moment it just looks really, really cool, and I like it. Also, even your advent deck changes, which I think is really awesome. Alright, now there's one last part of the Ryuki portion of this mod, which is Kamen Rider Ryuga, who was the main antagonist of the episode final. Sorry, Kamen Rider Kama was the main villain of the 13 Riders. Kamen Rider Ryuga was the main villain of episode final. And anyway, you switch out the Ryuka buckle, and you become Kamen Rider Ryuga, and he even has his own drag saber, which is black, and in general, yes, he is a black and gold repaint of Ryuki, but that's what he is in the show, and it actually fit with his origin, unlike a lot of other Dark Riders who are palette swaps, so nice on them. You got his evil drag visor right there. And in general, Ryuga just looks awesome. I believe, like the other secondary riders, this guy's probably going to be in a dungeon or is going to be a boss, which would make sense given he's a movie-exclusive Dark Rider. But anyway, I like him. Alright, next up we're looking at an update to the Kamen Rider Faiz portion of the mod. He was added in the last update, but now we have his super mode, Faiz Blaster, which you need the Faiz Blaster to access. Blaster mode, yeah, you get it. Anyway, first we need to henshin into Kamen Rider Faiz. And nothing has changed on him, but right-click with the Faiz Blaster, or shift right-click. Yeah, you need to shift right-click with this one, and you become Faiz Blaster form, which, if I'm not mistaken, probably will be able to fly, because that was the big upgrade with this form, is that it was his flying form. And you do have his Faiz Blaster, which can shoot rapid fire if you so choose. I don't know if this is going to take, like, blank memories or anything. I mean, not blank memories. Yeah, actually, yes, it is memories. Blank mission memories. I'm not sure if it's going to need those, but you can rapid fire it. It doesn't have a blaster mode yet, or either that or having battle gear installed messes with it. I don't know. I know both have happened with this mod, but for now, it's just a big sword, and you can shoot stuff with it. Alright, now the next thing to look at is an update to Kamen Rider Orga, who was in the last version of the mod, but now we have his weapon. So first I'm going to switch out the Orga driver, and we have his Orga Stalinzer. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but for now it is just a big sword, nothing special. One thing I would like to suggest maybe to the mod creator to do with this, the Faiz Blaster, and the armed Hibiki saber, is perhaps make it so when you do the whole shift to activate the supercharge mode, that it seems to be the thing with all the riders' weapons, is maybe give them a bit of an enhanced reach with theirs, because in the show, whenever they did that, it would, like, grow to a giant size for the finishing move. So just a suggestion. I'm not sure how to code it, but I know some mods have, so I thought I would just suggest it, because that's just something that gave all three weapons in the show a sort of a unique feel to them. Alright, now the last update to the Faiz portion concerns the Rio Trooper, and I'm pretty sure I showed this guy off in the last section, but if I didn't, here you go. He's just a normal move class rider from that series. And now we have his Axle Ray Gun, which is, well, a sword and can shoot arrows, rapid fire. Once more, I don't know if the modeling is just glitched or if it just doesn't have one yet, but it does rapid fire arrows. There's no gun mode as of yet, or if there is one, it's glitched and isn't showing up. But anyway, that's been added, so all the current ones except for Kaiksa, I think, have their weapons now. Alright, now to look at the next part of this update, we're going to need to take a trip into Helheim. Well, technically we don't need to, I just thought this was the most appropriate place to put everything from the Kamen Rider Gaim update. But anyway, the Kamen Rider Gaim update to this mod adds in several new riders, several new forms for the existing Gaim riders, and several new weapons. So let's take a look at the heroic riders and what's been added to them. Well, technically, heroic riders. Technically. It was complicated. But anyway, let's move on and look at Gaim, who has gotten 3 new forms, and they're all pretty cool, and we're going to look at them in chronological order. And yes, it does involve 2 Daidaimarus. Anyway, let's henshin into Kamen Rider Gaim and take a look at his first new lock seed, the Suika Arms lock seed, which looks pretty dang awesome. And I love, and if you jump, you can actually note that the feet are so tall that they go through the ground you're stepping on. So you can probably see this form best if I'm flying. But yeah, the arms are longer and the legs have that longer appearance to them, even if it doesn't actually show up most of the time. And I think it's really cool. I imagine when this one is complete and has its whole potion effects added, it's going to be pretty epic. Get out of here, Rain. Because in the show, this was probably his most powerful form. Also, the driver is missing the Suika lock seed, but that will be fixed later. Anyway, let's look at the next lock seed chronologically, the Fresh Orangey Arms, or Fresh Orange Arms if you don't want to be dramatic. And this was the Televi-kun special Hyper Battle DVD form, and it had access to 2 Daidaimarus. As for how he accessed this form, it was really weird. Like, really, really weird. It involved learning how to smile very creepily, and just watch the Hyper Battle DVD. But yeah, it can use 2 Daidaimarus, at least in the show. It doesn't really matter if you wield 2 Daidaimarus, but if you want to be accurate, you need to. And just, it looks weird. Like, it looks a lot cooler in the show, and it's not really the mod creator's fault, it's just this form looked weird to begin with. But nice to have it in here, even though it's one of those one-off DVD forms. But cool all the same. Alright, now the last of Gaim's new lock seeds is the Drive lock seed from the new Kamen Rider movie Tyson film that just came out recently, where he teamed up with Drive. Anyway, Drive Arms, which looks pretty dang cool. I like the form in the show, even if it's a bit weird looking. And in general, I think it's captured very well here with what Minecraft is capable of, because, well, in the show it has a big spoiler off the back, which just simply is not possible to really get in Minecraft. But all the same, it looks really cool. I like Drive Arms. And I'm not sure how you would go about getting this, because it's a Legend lock seed, and I'm not really sure if it's going to come from the ore, or if it will be obtained a session away. But it's here, it's awesome, and it's Kamen Rider Drive's lock seed. Moving on. Alright, next we are going to take a look at the riders that now have their weapons. And you're going to have to forgive me, apparently you cannot turn off the weather in Helheim yet, which is going to be annoying. But now we're going to look at the riders that have had their weapons added, which is Kamen Rider Baron, Kamen Rider Ryujin, Kamen Rider Bravo, and Kamen Rider Zangetsu, and also the Energy Riders and Kurakage Shin, which of course are different things because they're not the same classification of rider. But anyway, let's grab all of these and just look at them all at once. There's a lot to cover. The first one is, of course, Mr. Banana, Kamen Rider Baron. Even in this case, we're using Mango. Anyway, Mango Arms was already added, but now he has his Mango Punisher, his big old war hammer, which with this strength buff, I'm pretty sure can one-shot anything, and I actually kind of prepared to test things out by making this pressure play summon in zombies, which they're in vase. They're clearly in vase. And I think I might have made a mistake because they're going to just keep spawning in more zombies, aren't they? Why did I make pressure plates everywhere? Get out of here, zombies. Right, now that I've taken care of the Invis problem downstairs, we are going to look at Kamen Rider Ryujin's new weapons, which of course are his default Budo Ryoho in his Grape Arms form, which not only can you shoot with, you can do 7 attack damage by hitting someone with it, which is kind of sort of accurate to the show, and I'm going to regret this, but Let's test out the damage it does, which is like all the other shooting weapons, about 13 attack damage. Get out of here, zombies. I mean, Invis. You're clearly Invis. Clearly. But yeah, it does 7 attack damage, and the reason I was showing off Mango Arms earlier is, of course, due to the strength buff. Wanted to show how much that does when you're actually using the form. But moving on, we are going to look at his Kiwi Lockseed, which now has the Kiwi Gekiaren, which, like, of course, any of the dual-wielding weapons, we will use Battle Gear for. And they do 7 attack damage, look really cool, don't have any special effect yet, but they're nice to have, and just a really cool weapon, because you don't really get to see Gekiaren all that often. Like, they're very underused weapons, so nice to see them get some love. Alright, next up we are going to look at Kamen Rider Bravo, who is one of my favorite riders from Gaim. He also gets the Strength 2 buff, so with his Dori Nakus, you're going to be doing a good bit of damage. So let's take a look, and these were one of those weapons that were kind of cool, because they were like these serrated bladed sabers, which really fit his whole motif very well, and like Baron, if I spawn in some Invis, I can tear them to shreds with these swords, thanks to that strength buff. So if you want something that can kill enemies really quick, Baron, Mango Arms, or Bravo are going to be pretty good choices on your part. Alright, next up is the Energy Riders, technically all of them, because the Sonic Arrow was for every single Energy Rider, not just Zangetsu. But it's a bow that doubles as a sword. Like, literally in the show, it was a bow that had a blade on it, and you could cut people with it. So, plus I got a strength buff in this form too, but I'm just going to show off the damage it does, which is, of course, 13 to 14. Alright, sorry about that. The zombies kind of got a little out of control again, and I had to do something about it. I didn't think this through as well as I thought I did. But I will say, one thing I do like about the Sonic Arrow and all of these weapons that double as melee weapons is, you know, when you're using a bow, enemies might get too close to you, so with these you can just cut them down like it's a sword or use it as a projectile. Very convenient weapon. But anyway, the last of the Heroic Riders' new weapons is the Cage Mashu Shin, which is exclusive to Kamen Rider Kurakage Shin, which looks fairly nice. If I look at the Cage Mashu's default form, let's grab it really quick. As you can see, the difference is this one has that extra blade around the top, so it obviously looks like it can do more damage, and with his strength buff on, it certainly can. So yeah, that looks pretty cool. Works very well. Alright, now the last of the new rider weapons we're going to look at is Zangetsu Watermelon Alm's new weapon, which is the Watermelon Defender. And, well, it's pretty nice. I don't know, it looks like on the model it does have the little Gatling gun on the front, but yeah, you can see the Gatling gun right there, it looks like. But basically that's what it does. I think this one is another one that should be able to fire projectiles, because, well, it's a freaking Gatling gun shield. So it kind of feels like it should be able to, but it can't at the moment. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. But it's still work in progress. He doesn't have any buffs yet anyway, so I imagine it's going to be worked on and perfected as time goes on. But keep that in mind that this is a freaking Gatling gun shield. How awesome is that? Alright, and the rain finally stopped. Mod Creator, you probably need to look into that. But anyway, in this box we have the Evil Riders, which consists of several riders that now have their weapons and 3 new riders. Technically new riders. 2 of them are new, one of them is only technically new. Ignore that. That was from a previous take. But anyway, we now have Kamen Rider 15 and his Yomaru, Kamen Rider Kamuro and his Sojinju, Kamen Rider Gaim, Kamen Rider Jam, sorry, and his Dark Dai Maru, and Kamen Rider Mars and his Apple Reflector and Sword. Bringer. So let's switch out the drivers, and first off look at Kamen Rider 15 and his Yomi Maru, which I want to say means like Underworld Blade or something, which is a really cool looking sword, has a skeletal motif, and I should note these are actually ones that have crafting recipes. You just need their respective lock seed, and the sunflower seed, I believe, lock seeds around a diamond sword. That's for all of the Kamen Rider Gaim riders, so don't worry about that. But pretty nice to have the new weapons and even have 15's cool skeletal sword thing. Alright, next up, Kamen Rider Maz, or Marzu, or Malice, depending on how you want to look at him, and his sword Bringer and Apple Reflector, which, as with any of the riders that have dual weapons, you can dual wield. Though, once more, there's no shield functionality with the Apple Reflector, but I'm not sure if that cross-mod compatibility is actually possible. It'd be cool if it was, but I understand if it isn't. It's still nice that he has both of his weapons and can just own things. Next up, Kamen Rider Kamuro and his Sojinju, which is basically just a staff weapon, which looks pretty cool. It's a little small, but then again, Minecraft, and just generally looks pretty cool. I like the detail on it, like it even has the red and little fins on it. Looks pretty cool, I like it. Okay, and last of the riders that just have their new weapons is Kamen Rider Jam and his Dark Dai Maru, which is pink. Pink. But it's nice, it looks cool. It's just a repaint of the Dai Maru, but that's what it was in the show, which is kind of odd considering Jam was an Apple-themed rider, so it probably should have been something different. But nice to have, it looks cool, and I like Jam's design, so I'm not complaining that he now has his weapon. Alright, now on to the cool part, the new riders, all of which come from the Kamen Rider Gaim Gaiden specials that have been coming out, and one technically from the movie. But anyway, the new riders are Kamen Rider Duke, the Sengoku driver version, which technically makes Kamen Rider Duke that we know Kamen Rider Duke Shin when you think about it. That's actually kind of weird to come to think about it, that he's not called that, but anyway. Let's switch out the new Sengoku driver and take a look. And you also have his lemon lock seed, so anyone can use this form. I should note that the design is actually different than Kamen Rider Duke in his normal form if we switch them out. As you can see, the chest plate is different, one has both shoulder pads, and the head sculpt is different as well. So, pretty cool. I like that the show did not just go with the whole, he's the same form but has the Sengoku driver now thing. So yeah, nice to have him. He doesn't have his weapon yet, which I believe is a rapier. So yeah, kind of cool that we now have this, even though this form was just barely announced. Knuckle is not currently added in his new form, but I'm pretty sure that will be coming, and I'll probably have to show that in a future update. Anyway, next up is Kamen Rider Tyrant, who has the Genesis driver, and would normally be wielding a sonic arrow, and this guy's fruit is the Dragon Fruit's Energy Lock Seed. And he just has a really cool design. It, looks really menacing and evil. And I believe he also has a cape, which is inherently awesome. Wait, does Duke have a cape in his Sengoku driver form? No, he doesn't. So that is another difference between the two forms. Sengoku driver version does not have a cape. That version does. I got distracted. But yeah, Dragon Fruit Energy Arms, which looks pretty dang cool. Alright, now one thing to note about Dragon Fruit Energy is that Duke can also use it, and it actually changes quite a bit. So if I activate this, not only does it change the suit itself, as you can see, the head crest also changes on Duke. And he gains a completely more menacing look. Lemon Energy, Dragon Fruit Energy. So yeah, he actually does look different, and if I switch between the Kamen Rider Tyrant driver, as you can see, the crest is not present on Tyrant, it is only present on Duke. So that's pretty cool that he actually has a little bit of unique, and if you're wondering when he got this form, it was in the Kamen Rider Gaim and Drive crossover film. So pretty cool that that's been implemented and has a bit of uniqueness to it. Alright, last of the new riders for Gaim is Kamen Rider Uden, who was the main antagonist of the Zangetsu Gaiden special. And she uses the apple arms, hers is forbidden arms, and she also does use the Swordbringer and apple reflector as well. And generally just has a pretty decent design. I should note that Baron, who I do not have the driver on because I had to clear out my inventory, hang on a second. Baron can actually use this particular lock seed himself, so let's take a look at that just for completion's sake. Forbidden Alms. It's not quite as dynamic as, say, the whole thing with Duke using Dragon Fruit Energy, but it's nice that it's compatible and looks pretty nice, though once more, not as much of a difference as with the others, it's just the armor on top of the suit. But anyway, that is the new riders that have been added to Gaim, and we are moving on, and more zombies to fight. Yeah, I kind of expected this to go differently, and I didn't expect the zombies to cause a perpetual loop of spawning zombies that have to shut the recording off to deal with. Seriously, be careful how you make your zombie spawners.